And how do you plan to take the queries?
We'll go
Or we'll
live
be
and we'll
taking the
take.
ones that they have
Yeah,
emailed us?
we can do both ways. The best is to take queries from those who are live here,
Okay.
attending live, and then in case we don't get many questions from them, then we'll pick up questions from the form. That is what I have
Okay.
thought of.
All right.
Anyways, I'm open to everything. No worries.
It's your session. Let's do it your way.
No,
That's
no, no,
great.
no, no. It's perfectly fine. Anything works as
Yeah.
long as we are able to, provide information, help them. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah,
So we are now live on YouTube and we are here on Zoom as well. Perfect.
wonderful. So let me start with the introduction of the session.
Yes.
So good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to our session, our final session on the medical writing webinar series. Medical writing is one of the most in demand career options for healthcare professionals, and it's getting more and more popular nowadays because of various factors. So over the last few months we have conducted various webinars, medical writing essential webinars, with the help of wonderful speakers who have enlightened us on various topics, such as what is medical writing. We started with today's speaker Manoj's first session was what is medical writing. Then we looked at various deliverables that are required to be done as part of medical writing and medical communication. Then we looked at basics of statistics. We looked at AI in medical writing. Then we looked at a very interesting topic, that is business proposals, how to create business proposals when you are working as independently as a medical writer and you're in medical communication. Then we had yet another session on interpreting statistics. I'm very happy we had two topics on statistics because as last time the speaker ended saying statistics is a language of science. So we did two sessions on statistics, and we had a very important session on manuscript submission to journal and peer review. And today comes the final session on medical writing career paths. So I'm very happy to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Manoj Kumar Yadav. He is a medical writer, consultant, and a digital strategist with over 17 years of industry experience and experience in the healthcare. Through his popular platform, hashtag Manoj in Farm and YouTube channel, he has helped thousands of professionals across India explore careers in pharmaceuticals and medical writing. We are very grateful to you, Manoj, for this session that you're taking, and I'm sure it's going to be one of the best sessions that we had. So we're welcoming you, and the floor is yours. Thank you, Manoj, and
Thank you
warm
so
welcome.
much, ma'am. Thank you so much. And yes, welcome all the participants. Thank you for being here and thank you for attending all the sessions. We hope all these sessions were helpful in giving you a lot of ideas and your thought processes opened up with respect to medical writing. Today's session is all about understanding career paths in medical writing, and this session we have planned as per your questions basically, and based on my understanding in the field of medical communications. All right, so let me share my screen quickly and let's get started. All right, so yeah, this is what we'll be covering today. I hope the screen is visible. Uh, yes, no, please let me know in the chat box.
Yes, it is.
Yes, perfect. So these are the contents that we'll be covering today, and we'll try to understand who hires medical writers, what are the career tracks and progression with respect to medical writing, how to get started, uh, what are the different career choices all of us have as medical writers, how to get trained, and of course, every session will have Q&A. So this session is no exception, and we'll have Q&A as well. All right. So before we get started with the session, I thought of busting some myths because when we interact with participants like and students and other professionals, there are a lot of questions that we uh, keep listening again and again, right? So it is important for us as professionals in the industry to, create some awareness first, and then take the conversation ahead from there, right? So before I share some of the myths that we know and we have come across. Anyone in the group today here wants to share some of the myths he or she knows with respect to medical writing. Let's see. You are free to unmute and talk, or else if you are comfortable uh, chatting, you are also free to put in the chat box as well.
So most of the people think that medical writers are only for doctors.
Yeah, good one. All right. Who was that? Please spell your name also so that we know.
So this is Shanudina.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Any other myths you are aware of apart from this? No problem. So yeah, so of course, many say it is only for doctors, right? And then many say you must be a doctor or a dentist or a PhD to become a medical writer, right? And most of the time, the most common question that we hear is we should have a PhD to become a medical writer, right? Although the higher qualifications definitely matter in medical writing, and what I have seen personally is higher the qualification, better is the opportunity for you. But then, many successful medical writers also hold a bachelor's or a master's degree, right? And these professionals come from just life sciences. Some of them come from pharmacy, nursing, dentistry. I've seen some people even from journalism, and they're doing great in, medical writing. And they do have strong scientific and writing skills, and that is the reason why probably they are doing great. Okay. Another one question that we normally get is anyone can do medical writing if they're good in English, right? Of course, English is the primary communication language in medical writing. But then, uh, even if you don't have great English language, it's okay, right? You can be a editor, a project manager, a business development manager. You can be doing any other additional works that encompasses in medical writing, because medical writing as such is so vast, so interdisciplinary, that you don't need to always have a great English for communicating, right? English is just a medium of communication, right? So domain knowledge, attention to detail, ability to work with scientists and clinicians are most important uh, are skills that can help you compared to your English knowledge as such. Okay. Another most common myth that we hear is medical writing is just about writing. Yeah. Well, medical writing is not just about writing, it is about interpreting, about synthesizing, about communicating complex scientific information accurately, ethically. Uh, Medical writing is also about planning clinical trials, regulatory guidelines, understanding audience, patients, caretakers. It is not just about writing, not just about grammar, not just about language. Okay. Uh, Another thing that this is very commonly asked on LinkedIn. These days, I get a lot of queries on LinkedIn as well, and DMs, right? So a lot of them they ask, medical writers are just ghost writers with no intellectual contribution. Many feel that we just skim through content from different publications and we create some content, and we are just ghost writers and we don't have our own intellectual contribution. Definitely, it is not the case. Medical writers are not ghosts. They help shape the entire scientific narrative. They help to adhere to the authorship guidelines. For example, you have ICMJ, right? There are a lot of publication guidelines. I think there are more than 600 plus publication guidelines, right? Uh, Medical writers collaborate with scientific partners,
तो
right?
मैसेज
They
आया हाँ आ गया तो मैंने लोकेशन भेज दिया हाँ
लोकेशन
ठीक है
भेज दिया है
जी
ओके ठीक है
ठीक है
नो प्रॉब्लम so please keep yourself muted, don't send the location on Zoom. Otherwise, all of us will be in trouble. Anyways, I'll just mute everyone. Dr. Betsy, I'm keeping you as a co-host, just to ensure that everything runs smoothly. All
Yes,
right.
please.
Yeah, perfect. So thank you so much. Don't share locations on Zoom. Okay. Please stay here. Okay. All right. So coming back, medical writers are Dr. Nisha, it's perfectly fine, don't worry. Okay, so medical writers are not ghosts, by the way. Okay, so they help in doing a lot of other things in medical writing, right? They contribute a lot. They contribute to the structure, plan, compliance, they help adhere to the guidelines. They do a lot of things. Okay. Next, you need a medical writing certificate to get hired. Absolutely not. When I started my journey, I had no idea of what medical writing is, what a certification is. I had no idea even of what medical writing or scientific writing is, right? Definitely in today's world, there is so much of competition that employers don't have the kind of time the employers had earlier when I joined, right? 15, 17 years back when I joined, employers used to train us. They used to do all the in-house training uh, themselves, right? But today there is so much of competition. They don't have to do it because there is such a scientific trained pool available, right? And all of this training is happening thanks to internet, thanks to the kind of awareness we have. And thanks to professionals like Dr. Betsy, for example, they are doing great. She has been conducting all of these webinars, right? And thanks to professionals who have contributed to the webinars that I have also conducted. You can find over 100 plus webinars on my YouTube channel as well, right? So, medical writing certificate definitely helps you to upskill and reskill with respect to medical writing domain, right? And most of the employers, they prioritize portfolio, which is of great quality, which has relevant experience, which demonstrates skills over certifications. So courses from well-known associations, for example, AMWA, definitely can help, but they're not mandatory, especially in Indian context. Uh, no company will ask for a specific certificate. All they want is whether the jobs applicant has the right kind of skill or not. Okay. So do you need a medical writing certificate to get hired? Absolutely not. But then if you have a certificate, it is assumed that you do have the relevant experience and expertise, right? So don't just do a certification course just for the sake of certification. Do it for the sake of knowledge, for the sake of skills. Okay. Now, another thing that people say is medical writing is a solo work from home job with no deadlines. Definitely not. Medical writing is a job where we work with tight deadlines, strict deadlines, in fact, right? And most of the time it is fast paced and collaborative, right? We work with cross-functional teams, clinicians, statisticians, regulatory professionals, and we do constant revisions of our documents to ensure that everybody in the team is on the same page. Even though we work remotely most of the times, it does not mean that we don't work with cross-functional teams, right? So medical writing is not a solo or just work from home job, and it does have a strict, tight deadlines most of the time. Okay. Now, medical writers must be experts in every therapeutic area. Impossible. None of us can be experts in every therapeutic area, right? I always give my own example. When I studied pharmacy, I studied so many different subjects. And of all the subjects, probably one or two subjects stayed even uh, till today, right? And even in those two subjects, I don't remember everything. I'm not an expert in all the topics. I know probably one or two topics, right? And all of us, whatever be the background, probably all of you will agree with me on this that none of us can be experts in all the therapy areas and all the subjects, right? Most of us, as medical writers, we learn on the job, right? We specialize over a period of time. But initial roles, when you are joining in the field of medical writing, the initial roles require adaptability, research skills, and the ability to quickly grasp new disease areas. right? Why is this important? Because let's say today I'll be working on diabetes. Tomorrow, maybe I'll be working on cancer. Day after tomorrow, I'll be working on asthma. So every day when I work on different projects and different clients, the therapy areas change, and I should be quickly able to shift gears and learn those new areas and continue writing content, right? So if you're somebody who loves learning and who is quick at grasping things, uh, quickly able to learn different therapy areas, then yes, medical writing is something for you. But yes, always remember that you cannot be an expert in all the therapy areas, right? You can be expert in one or two therapy areas if you constantly work on those therapy areas, right? I know a few medical writers who have been working only in the domain of oncology. So they have spent their almost 15, 20 years of their life working only in oncology. There are people who work only in respiratory related aspects. So they focus only on respiratory. So they are near experts. They are near experts in their respective therapy areas. But no medical writer can be an expert in all the therapy areas. Okay. Now, this is another one. I think in this group also there'll be a lot of us who would be interested to be a freelancer, and we feel that freelancer means quick money, easy money, right? With no effort. Absolutely not. Freelancer means you are a business yourself, right? Every single freelancer can be considered as a business himself or herself. What does it mean? You need to have to work just like a company, right? So in a company, you have different departments, different people managing different tasks. But as a freelancer, you are, a solopreneur handling everything yourself, right? So you are a writer, you are a consultant, you are auditor, you are the project manager, you are actually multitasking, right? And when you do all of this, you definitely have to spend a lot of time. And definitely, this is not easy money, right? You have to work on different projects all the time, and constantly you have to work on projects. And as a freelancer, it is not easy, it is tough because income can be inconsistent, right? And this happens with many medical writers, freelance medical writers who do not have strong network and reputation. So if you want to have a good money in medical writing as a freelancer, you need to have a lot of skills. For example, you need to have a strong network, strong reputation in the domain. You need to have skills like client acquisition. You need to have contract negotiation kind of skills. You need to understand the business, right? You need to understand invoicing. You must have a self-discipline, right? And definitely all of this comes at a price, right? Next one is there is only one type of medical writing, which is regulatory, which is the best, right? It is not the case. Medical writing is vast. Medical communications is vast. Medical communications is actually the umbrella term, right? Under this, we have scientific, we have publications, we have non-clinical, we have clinical, we have medical writing, we have patient education, we have education, we have all these different types of writings that happen, right? We have CME writing, we have health journalism, we have journal publications. All these different types come under the medical communication as an umbrella term. So it is definitely not one type of writing. There are so many different types of writing. And in medical communications alone, in MedComms alone, in medical marketing alone, we do over 35, 40 different types of inputs, right? In clinical writing or medical writing alone, there are over 8 or 9 different types of writings that we do. So definitely it is not the only one, or you cannot say only one, or you cannot say one of the writing is the best writing. You go to a regulatory writer, he'll say regulatory writing is the best. You come to me, I'll say MedComms is the best. You go to a clinical writer, he'll say clinical writing is the best, right? So whatever areas we have been working for a long time, we feel that is the best, and that is the only type of writing, right? And if few years back, probably you would have asked me, I would have told, okay, medical communications is the only type of writing that we do. But no, not today. There are so many different types, right? And we covered all the details in our last session. So if you are watching on YouTube, or if you have access to that channel, please go ahead and watch that previous video. And I'll also send you a link of recording of the previous session after this call, after the session. So you may have a recap there. We have covered all the different types of writing in the previous session. All right. Now, this is another one. Career growth is limited, and you'll always be just a writer. Definitely not. Uh, Medical writers start with just internship, and then they go to the level of head of medical communication or director of medical communication. They become vice presidents of companies. They sometimes launch their own agencies. I know at least 4 or 5 of my colleagues who run their own agencies, right? So ultimate goal is obviously for most of us to have our own agency or some point of time start everything on our own, right? So career growth is definitely not limited. It is totally up to you as to how you want to go and plan your career. All right. So now, did I bust some myths here? Let me know. Yes, no in the chat box. All right. Of course, in the upcoming slides, we'll do more. Yeah. Perfect. So now, having covered this basic aspect, the next question you might have is who hires medical writers, right? Or scientific writers. Okay. So there are a lot of organizations who hire. So some of them can be a pharmaceutical company or a biotechnology company or a contract research organization, right? So these are the companies. Then there are agencies, there are regulatory service providers, publication writing services providers. There are medical communications agencies or service providers who do that, right? Then you have publishing houses like Springer, you have Elsewhere, you have Medno, you have JP Publications, right? All of these publication houses also hire medical writers. Then you do also have knowledge processing, knowledge, what do you call them? Knowledge process outsource companies. They also hire medical writers. There are associations or societies. Recently, I came to know of a medical society that was hiring scientific writer because they manage a journal, and that journal is published by the society. So they wanted an in-house medical writer and a scientific communicator to handle all the editing process and plan their publication. So they also hire. Nowadays, you also find hospitals and academic institutions hiring medical writers. The reason being, everybody wants to create their own content. They don't want to depend mostly on third party or agencies, right? In-house is always better. That's what they feel. So many hospitals and academic institutions have also started hiring them, right? So these are the companies or organizations they hire medical writers. So now next would be what type of career progression you could expect, right? So first thing first is before you even think of career progression or career tracks, different type of career tracks, you should ask yourself, uh, what is the type of work that you want to do? Do you want to write content? Do you want to edit content? Do you have an expertise in a specific therapy area, right? Do you want to lead or manage teams, right? Because project management is also becoming very important domain in medical writing these days, right? You also need to ask what is your 1 year or 5 year goal, right? For example, if you're just coming out of college, especially if you're a lady, right? You might get married and you might have to take care of your family, and you might not want to continue beyond 3 4 years 5 years in a company, right? Because the family takes over, and responsibilities take over in most cases. That is what I have seen. So your goal is then different, right? So based on your goal you need to plan, right? So what are the different kind of tracks or career tracks which are available? So there are many career tracks. So if you are somebody who doesn't like just writing, you can be in different tracks also, right? Writing and editing is one of the most important areas, requirement areas in medical writing. But then if you're somebody who doesn't like just writing, you want different variety, then you can be also into leadership, into management, into project management, right? I recently connected with few dentists, uh, uh, two of them ladies. they are into marketing and business development, right? In fact, I sent a LinkedIn invite to one of them, requesting her to come over and through this some a webinar like this, and where we want to share about business development opportunities in medical writing for dentists, right? So there are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of tracks. Now, these tracks depend on what is your goal, right? If you're somebody who just is very strong technically and medically, or you are very strong in one of the therapy areas, then get into writing or editing, right? If you're somebody who is people or project focused, get into management or leadership, project management kind of role. If you love traveling, you want to manage the business, you love marketing, get into the marketing and the business management or business development side of it, right? So these are different tracks, right? So writing is not the only type of role. That is what I meant through this, right? What are the different types of career progressions? These are some of them, and these titles are generic titles, by the way. They vary by organization. If it is a pharma company, the roles will be different. If it is a CRO, the names will be different, titles will be different. If it is an agency, the titles may be different, right? If it is an MNC, the titles may be different, right? In some of the MNCs, they say medical writer one, medical writer two, medical writer three, right? So the roles are different, the titles may vary, and then you can be a freelancer. So the title depends on the organization, but this is how the general progression happens. So you start as a intern or a trainee and then become an associate writer. And your role is to draft very simple documents under a supervision of somebody else, right? Who's the head of the department or who's the team lead of yours. Under that person, you will be drafting these documents and all of that, right? And then after this internship or the trainee or associate writing, you become a medical writer to senior medical writer. And then you will be independently writing projects. You'll be independently writing manuscripts. You'll be independently delivering the projects yourself, right? You might be also, in some cases, if you're, especially if you're working in an agency setup, you get an opportunity to interact with clients. But not all agencies will involve medical writers to interact with clients. In many cases, the job is of a project manager who takes care of this role, right? Then you can be a team lead or a project lead where you handle complex deliverables, you mentor your juniors, you quality check others' work, you ensure the quality of the projects in that department, right? In your department you solve scientific and strategic challenges, right? You can advise related to document strategy in your team, right? You may also be planning budget. You may be also planning capacity. You may be also interacting with clients and other organizations as a team lead or a project lead, right? Then you can be a manager for them and you can be head of that department. So you'll be overseeing the entire team, right? Then you can be department of the director of the entire unit. And then finally, you can be president or you can be the head of the entire unit, right? So that is a typical career progression that happens in the domain of medical writing after the track, right? Now, most of you might be thinking, okay, fine, where do we get started, right? So how do we plan? How do we, create awareness about ourselves and how do we get started, right? So first thing first is you need to focus on your education and training. Right? This is the most important part, and I keep talking about this all the time, right? And this is where everything is important, right? Because your education and the training so far. When I'm saying training, I'm not asking you to go and get enrolled into another course. I'm not asking you to go for a higher education at this point of time. All I'm saying is whatever you have studied so far, right? You should be aware of that. You should know what is your where you stand, right? So based on that, you should know at least the different types of writings, what are the different types of skills needed, and you should know your why, right? Why I, for example, why I want to get into scientific writing, why I want to get into medical communications, why I want to get into medical journalism, right? Why I want to get into health writing, why I want to get into patient writing, why I want to get into CME writing. You should answer that question for yourself, right? And only when you do that, you know your why, the rest of the things becomes easier, right? So your education and training, your expertise levels will define your why. Okay. So ask this question to yourself that, okay, I want to get into MedComms. Why should I get into MedComms? What are the qualities I have? What are the skills I have to get into MedComms? What are the qualities I have to get into healthcare writing, right? So once you have defined that, then the next one is to gain experience, right? Because as I said earlier, in today's world, in today's industry, companies want, companies expect us to have the experience before we join the companies, right? So the experience can be easily gained these days thanks to the technology, thanks to so much of resources, thanks to AI, right? This can help us in building the knowledge gap, right? It can help us in learning. It can help us in gaining experience by learning and working on some projects. When I say some projects, pick up any topic and you know all the deliverables these days, right? Internet is so easily accessible at our fingertips these days. You can just go ahead and plan a project on your own, right? If you don't do that, you can connect with some mentors. All of us are available for you. You can connect with any one of us, and then we'll support you and guide you as to how you can create your own project. And then once you have started doing that, start working, start writing content. If you want to become an editor or a writer. Now, gain experience means if you want to become a writer or an editor, start writing or editing. If you want to become a project manager or a leader, you start learning project management skills and start applying for project management roles. Do not try to learn writing or editing if your end goal is to become a project manager, right? If you know writing and editing, definitely it will help you to become a better project manager, but that will not solve your immediate goal, right? So focus on what is your end goal. Do you want to become an editor or writer? Do you want to become a project manager? Do you want to become a marketeer or a business development manager? That has to be decided first, right? Once you've decided, start building your portfolio. These days, I see a lot of vacancies, even for freelance business development managers, right? Freelance project managers or supporters. So there are companies who hire, but then for that, you need to showcase your worth, right? Showcase your work. Unless they know what you have done, unless they know what kind of work you have done, they will not understand your worth. So showcasing your work, through your work is most important, right? So build your portfolio, and building portfolio again is not difficult these days. You can simply create some projects. You can start posting on LinkedIn. You can write LinkedIn articles. A lot of videos we have created on this, and those are available on my channel as well. You can watch them and understand from there. You can also connect to a lot of mentors who can guide you in building your portfolio. There are lots and lots of mentors these days on medical writing domain who are helping you to build your portfolio, right? There are a lot of companies who give you topics, you write for them, and those works are published in their company websites. That showcases your work, and that can be one of the portfolio works, right? Ramesh, for example, he does that. Okay. So that is how you get started. So first thing first, you need to ask yourself why, and then one you get started from there. Okay. So what are the different career choices you have? There are many career choices, but everything depends on your individual requirement, right? So most of the career choices are subjective, right? So my career choice will be dependent on so many uh, you know my own personal things, right? Similarly, your own career choice depends on what exactly you want, how you want to work, where you want to work, and all of that, right? But generally, this is the ideal way to start. So if you're starting for the first time, you are taking that lead and becoming a medical writer, get into a full-time job, right? Learn the skills, be a part of a team, work in a team, work in the office atmosphere. Again, don't work from home. Okay. So when I'm saying full-time, it is full-time in office, right? So become a full-time employee in a company, work with the company, and stay with them for some time. When I say sometime, it can be 1 to 3 years. I'll not say 5 years. Uh, I stayed for 6 years in the first company when I started my career. But I won't recommend anyone to stay for 6, 7 years in the same company today. I'll recommend you to move fast because fast career growth happens when you start moving after 2, 3 years in a new organization. Career growth in the sense there are two types of career growth. One is monetary career growth. The second one is knowledge career growth, right? If you want to gain a lot of knowledge and expertise, you need to stay in the same company. But if you want to gain diverse knowledge and at the same time your earning potential has to be increased, then you should shift companies. Because when you shift companies, your financial growth becomes really faster, right? So join a full-time role, stay there for 2, 3 years, then shift to another company, expect a growth of at least 20, 30%, and then continue from there, right? Depending on how well you feel. Don't get into the trap of comfort zone in the beginning of your career. That is my, I felt that comfort. It was like a home for me, my company. But then later on, you realize that that was not something you wanted, right? Maybe initially you feel that comfort zone, but later on you don't feel like, okay. So shift gears, shift companies, but be in a full-time role to have diverse kind of experience. Once you have that, then you start becoming as a part-time consultant, right? And a lot of companies hire experienced consultant these days because they also want variety in their work, right? And of course, they want to save money, right? Because if they hire a full-timer, obviously they'll have to pay huge. So they want a consultant to, take care of his or her company's role. Recently, I came to know that even medical affairs professionals work as consultants, right? One of my friend who has a company is hiring for a part-time medical affairs consultant, right? So it depends. So if you can get a part-time consultant role, get into that. A lot of medical affairs companies hire for part-time consultants. And when you become a part-time consultant, you can focus on your learning, right? Really faster. And your variety of learning also improves here, right? Once you have done that, then be a freelancer for some time. Being a freelancer brings a lot of value addition to your career growth, right? Because you are on your own and you are responsible for everything that is happening to you and your career, right? And you can do multitasking there. So do become a freelancer only after you have become a full-time and part-time and then freelancer, right? Then once you have set up the freelance, you have connected to a lot of clients, established that connections, then become an entrepreneur, right? And becoming an entrepreneur today, especially in India, is not difficult. It's very easy. You can set up a company in less than 2 days, right? All you need is your Aadhaar card, and if you have that, then the rest of the thing. 10 minutes you can register a company actually, but the formalities and other things takes at least 2 days. So and then you can get a website done in less than 2 or 3 days. You can have logo done. I have set up, I have helped so many people getting their logos and websites done in less than a week's time, right? So becoming an entrepreneur is not difficult these days. It's easy if you have the right kind of experience and connections. Only when you have the right kind of connections, go for entrepreneurship because these are the people who will support you with their projects initially. Initially, you need that project support, right? Because uh, suddenly, if you become an entrepreneur and there are no projects coming in, then it becomes a challenge. So rely on those connections when you are working as a freelancer or a consultant. Work with them with their projects and then set up the company. So that is the suggestion I have for most of you, right? Now, how to get trained, right? So this is another question that I keep getting all the time. So getting training means understanding the knowledge gap, right? Just like you are writing a publication, you first understand what is the value addition that article is bringing. Similarly, when you are trying to learn something or get trained on some topic, understand where is the knowledge gap. What is it that you want to get trained on, right? So recently somebody reached out to me and said, I got a certification done in pharmacovigilance, medical writing, regulatory affairs, right? And then one more, she said. And I asked her, what is your end goal? And she said, I want to become a medical writer. Then I said, why did you do a certification course in all four when you want to become a medical writer? If you want to become a medical writer, do a certification course in medical writing so that your knowledge is stronger and you have learned something in one domain at least to start with. Although medical writing is multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, you work with multiple departments at the same time, but having all the knowledge in the beginning will only confuse you, right? So have clear goals and understand what you want to do and then focus according to that. So you don't need to learn everything. Already you are a graduate or a master or a PhD holder. Already you have some knowledge. So understand where is the knowledge gap and fill that gap and do courses only for filling that gap. You don't need to learn everything, right? Even some many of them they join my courses, and I tell them the same thing. You don't have to learn everything. Focus on when I'm training you so many different things. Focus on what exactly you need to take from this class and work on it. That's all. And you need to take action. Action meaning what? Practice, right? And learning will not help in any ways unless we take action on whatever we have learned, right? So having goals is important, and training has to be done only on the areas where you are deficient in or you lack skills. Okay. Now, once you are trained in one area, focus on what is that one type of writing that you want to do, right? Now, I'll not do a demo in this class because I had just made a note, okay, let me do a demo, but then I'm not going to do that considering that it is only a 1 hour session. But then when you want to do any type of writing, you have to focus on what is that area in which you want to focus, right? And that area can be anything. For example, do you want to become a scientific writer? Okay. Scientific writers work with scientists and researchers, right? So and your area of expertise is science. You should understand research there, right? Or do you want to become a medical writer? So your therapy areas are strong, your clinical background, your clinical knowledge is very good. Or you want to work with publications. That means you understand how publications happen, what are the different publication guidelines, what are the authorship criterias, and all of those different things, right? Or you want to do regulatory. So you must understand regulatory bodies, the FDA, the EMA, the CDSCO, the ICH guidelines. These guidelines you should know. When you know all of this, it becomes easier for you to get in, right? Now, let's say if you decide you don't want to get into scientific, you don't want to get into medical, you don't want to get into publications, and you also don't want to get into regulatory, the next option can be get into educational, right? And in educational, it is quite easier. Whether you are a doctor, patient, nurse, or anyone from life sciences, you can do educational writing in two different categories. So if you're a doctor, focus on healthcare professionals type of writing. If you are a if you're not a doctor, you are a nurse or a pharmacist or anybody else, then focus on patient education, right? And whatever areas do you choose, there are a lot of resources. For example, if you are choosing scientific, medical, or publications, you have PubMed, Google Scholar, Elsewhere, Midno, Springer, publication guidelines. All of these resources will help you to gain that knowledge and skill, right? If you choose to become a regulatory professional or regulatory writer, then all these FDA guidelines, CMA, ICH guidelines, websites will help you to get that ideas and knowledge. If you want to become a patient education type of writing, then you have this Medline, you have WHO, the CDC websites that are going to help you out, right? If you want to become a writer for HCP related areas, then this publication guidelines, the industry guidelines will help you because all these pharmaceutical companies also have their own uh, guidelines for creating content for HCPs, right? And there are these marketing guidelines that are also needed when we are writing for HCPs. So understanding all of this will help you to choose and decide your writing. But everything depends on your education, qualification, and expertise. Okay. Now, whatever area of writing you have chosen, you have to develop strong writing and research skill. Even though you are not writing, even though you are into project management, you'll have to have a strong writing and research skills. You need to write proposals. You need to research. You need to work on research articles. You need to do research on those research articles, right? And all of this can be done only when you enhance or improve your writing abilities through practice or by mentoring others, right? So one of the easiest way to learn is how teach others, right? Okay. Next one is specialize in any one of the medical area. Now, medical area, when I say it is a therapy area, basically. Uh, you cannot be an expert in all the areas. We understood that, right? So we can be expert or maybe near expert in one of the areas. So focus on that area, wherever area, whatever area you choose. Try to focus on that type of area. You start developing uh, in-depth knowledge. Of your chosen area, you you can understand the job search in that area better only when you know the skills, right? And then gain the medical writing experience. So for that, there are a lot of organizations who hire for internships. You can volunteer. There are organizations who don't hire for internship, but they accept volunteers, right? So you can volunteer in writing content. Uh, and there are some pharmaceutical magazines, they accept volunteer writers. There is this magazines like The Week, right, or the Health magazine. They also accept guest articles. So you can also write articles in those magazines or even newspapers. There are a lot of local newspapers. You can be a health writer for those local newspapers and you can write for them initially. And once you have written some pieces of content, this can then help you to build your portfolio, right? And use LinkedIn because LinkedIn is powerful. You have 1+ billion users there, more than 70 lakhs companies present on LinkedIn. And almost 90% of the hiring happens on LinkedIn these days, right? So be there and definitely it'll help you. Okay. Yeah, so those were the different areas of getting trained, right? So these are the slides I had prepared for today. Maybe we have already taken about 50 minutes. We have 10, 15 minutes. Maybe we'll do a Q&A. Is that okay, Dr. Betsy?
Yes, we have some questions already in the chat box. So
Perfect.
can
So
we
let's
start by
take that.
taking that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So
Um,
please share the deliverables that fall under MedComms and deliverables that can be listed under medical marketing. Okay, very good question. And uh, only in India you heard the word medical marketing, right? In any other country, when you go, they don't uh, use the word medical marketing. Everything falls under MedComms, right? There is a very thin line of difference between medical communications and medical marketing. If you write content for healthcare professionals without marketing the product directly, then it is medical communications. But the moment you advertise your product or start marketing your product, do branding of the product, then it becomes medical marketing. So it's a very thin line of difference. All these CMEs without branding will be proper MedComs content, but any of these CMEs with branding becomes a medcom activity, right? So there are a lot of deliverables. There are these flyers, there are CME slide decks, there are visual aids, there are LBLs, or e-detailers. All of these come under medcoms. There are over 30 different types of deliverables that we work in medcoms. Okay. Now, if you want to understand some of these deliverables, you will find one video by Melita, right? She was my colleague in my first organization. She has spoken about that. And nowadays, in Medcoms, you also have the social media content. Many companies like Pfizer, for example, they have social media teams. You take the help of medical writers or Medcom writers to create social media content as well. Okay. Is AI affecting medical writing? Definitely, yes, very much, in fact. And just I'm working on with a group of medical writers now, wherein we are exploring AI tools for the last 5 days. And we realized yesterday was one of the sessions, and we realized that AI can do so much for us, right? AI can, in fact, create almost everything that a medical writer does in a fraction of a second. And that really helps medical writer to get a lot of time to do research, right? To do creativity, to work on creativity, and to work on ideation. Because AI can only do so much, right? The human writing cannot happen through AI. So AI definitely is helping us, but then we have to be very focused on creating personalized content for different types of audiences. The emotion AI cannot fill in. AI is definitely affecting, and learning AI is the need of the hour at this point of time, I would say. Okay. Explain the scope of medical writer in health, clinical product management, and skills required. There are a lot of skills that you need, by the way. So if you're a health writer, for example, you need to understand the different therapy areas. For example, how many of you read the Week magazine? Tell me yes, no. Anyone reads the Week magazine? So the Week magazine has health article features, right? And these article features are written by other medical writers or doctors. If you go to Manipal's website, Manipal Hospital's website, articles are written by doctors or medical writers, right? These are all health articles. They're written for the general disease awareness for the patients and the caretakers, right? Clinical management is a little different, wherein you summarize clinical articles or clinical research articles. So your skill sets are different here, right? When you are writing for clinical content, you need to understand clinical trials, you need to understand drug discovery and all of that. But when you're writing for healthcare, health articles, you need to understand the disease, the therapy area, the patient journey, and all of that. So skill sets are little different, and the expertise levels are also little different in both the cases. Okay. If someone is not a PhD holder or a medical professional but works in medical or scientific writing, what affiliation should they use when submitting an article or professional document? Just use your name, no problem. Okay, just use your name and whatever qualification you have, and you can submit an article. The only thing is you cannot claim to be an expert in that area of writing, right? So if I'm not an oncologist, I cannot share an article saying I'm my expert opinion in oncology. I cannot do that because I'm not an expert in that area, right? Next question is from Madhurya. How to find freelancing work? Can I attend your next AI session? Yeah, you are most welcome to attend the next AI session. How to attend freelancing work? How to find freelancing work? The only thing is you have to understand the gap, right? For example, last week I was just browsing internet, okay, and then while browsing, I came across a pharmaceutical company's website, and I found that the website needed a lot of revamp. What I did, I just made a note and I sent an email to them. And then just day for yesterday, the MD of I had a meeting with the MD of the company, and he said, "Okay, whatever suggestions you had given are very well taken, and let's go and revamp the website." So it's 100% freelance work, and it's 100% came just because of a cold email I sent to the client, right? So there are multiple ways. Number one is, of course, you have to network with people. You need to connect, and you need to show that you are doing a value addition to the client's work, right? And only when that happens, the clients will be happy to work with you and then give you more work. Okay. I hope I answered that. Dr. Kaveri says these days when a company posts a job, it is always mentioned experienced medical writers. I don't have experience, but have medical writing certification. Can I present my published research papers as my work sample? Definitely, yes. If you have published research papers, that itself is an experience, right? Some of you may be knowing Abhinash. Abhinash is one of my good friend, and we used to do the 5M club together. He started his medical writing journey just with his publications. Fresh out of school, fresh out of college, he had published 3 research papers, and he used to write very good content on LinkedIn, right? And then when he started applying, in fact, one of his company's interview was all based on how he writes content on LinkedIn, right? And that is how they selected him, right? And they liked his creativity, they liked his presentation, they liked the way he used to simplify complex information on LinkedIn, right? And they wanted to understand how he did that. And of course, he is now an experienced medical writer, but then that is how he started. So your question is, can I present my published research paper? 100% yes, and you can present them as your work sample. In fact, I would suggest you start writing short, brief summaries about those research papers you have done on LinkedIn, and start tagging relevant companies or professionals who might be interested in your kind of work. That will definitely help you. And medical writing certification, as I said, depends on the skill sets you have, right? So if I have a certificate but I don't have that relevant skill, the certificate does not hold any value. When I go to a company for an interview, the company just wants to check my skills and skill sets. That's all. And once I do that, then those things are taken care of. As MPH students, how can I choose career in this? Which stream is the best for students? So Darshan, thank you for asking that question. And most of the students will have this question in mind. So which stream is best for the student depends on which therapy area you are strong at, right? If you're strong at, let's say, mm, diabetes or rheumatology or oncology, focus on that area first. And as you get into the domain, you can always diversify your experience, right? So whatever area of expertise you bring, focus in that area first, and then slowly, once you get into the domain, you start diversifying. Focus on writing content if you want to become a medical writer. Focus on becoming a project manager if you want to become a project manager. Focus on understanding business development if you want to become a business development. Focus on digital strategies if you want to become a digital strategist. If you focus on AI if you want to become an AI strategist. By the way, there is a new role which has come up, AI generalist role. So if you understand how AI works and how different platforms can be fused together to create a solution, you can be an AI generalist also. For that, you don't need coding. You don't need to be a coder. You don't need to understand technology, but you need to understand how the process can be planned, right? So I hope I answered that. Hi, sir. Shashwat this side, a friend of Avinash. All right, excellent. Good to see you, Shashwat. And yeah, Avinash example. I keep giving Avinash example because uh, he is one student, who has done so much. And, he was the one student who used to attend 5 a.m. club. He used to get up at 4:45 and just switch on the computer and start attending the session, right? And he's a very hard worker. I know that. So I'm seeking your opinion so that I can make a choice. I'm very much interested to join medical writing domain. Currently, I have 2 years of PV literature domain and I'm learning daily about medical writing. What should I do to be part of this domain? Kindly show me a path. So, Sashwat, thank you for asking that question. You already are into PV literature, so you already know if you see the spectrum of medical writing, pharmacovigilance comes at the end, right? So first is scientific writing, then you have the non-clinical writing, then you have the clinical writing, you have publication writing, you have regulatory writing, you have medical communications, and then you have the PV writing, right? That is the spectrum of medical writing. So if you want to start with medical writing, then you have to start understanding the therapy areas. You are already doing the literature search. So you already know the basic research. Now you need to start writing content because in PV we don't write much. We do literature search, but we tag content. We follow a system. We follow a template for feeding the information, right? We don't write there. But if you want to get into writing, then you have to start writing, right? Pick up any topic, and I think Avinash will be the best person to guide you. And maybe if you want, we can connect later on. We can discuss on this. Okay. So focus on, you already have the research skill. Now focus on therapy area and get started from there. Dr. Saini, being a medical editor, my area of interest is publication writing, but rarely see jobs in this field on LinkedIn. Yes, you are very much right. On LinkedIn, you will not find many of this unless you follow the company. So generally, these editing kind of roles come from publication houses or societies. Now, if you are following companies related to publication houses, definitely you'll get one of these opportunities. If you don't, then you won't. I'll tell you some of the companies that hire for publication writers. Okay. Pharmaceutical companies. Number one is GSK. Number two is Eli Lilly. They keep hiring publication writers all the time. Okay. So please follow those companies and connect to people, professionals in those companies, and you'll definitely find. BioQuest Global is a company based out in Bangalore that also hires publications writers or scientific writers. Please see if you can approach them as well. Okay. If you want the HR's details, let me know. I'll share with you. Maybe you can connect with me later on. All right. So these companies hire publication writers and definitely you can try. All right. Thank you. And thank you, Saswat. All right. So we have answered all the questions on Zoom. Let's see if we have any questions on YouTube and see if we can answer them. All right. No, so there are no questions on YouTube as such, but then yes, we have answered all the questions on Zoom. So we are well on time. Yes.
Are there any overlap in the questions that you received online?
I'm just checking that list. Just give me one moment.
Yeah.
So we answered remote opportunities. Yes. How to find remote opportunities? We answered that. That was number one question many people had asked. How to become a medical writer from PV? I just answered that. I am a non-native English speaker. I answered that. What are the initial steps for internships that can be done to get a job when starting this career? Very good question this is, and I think nobody asked this one, right? So whatever you are doing, so if you're a student, you can become an intern immediately at the college level, right? There are a lot of companies who provide internships. If you have already completed your college or you're working in some other domain but want to shift to medical writing, then reach out to these pharmaceutical magazines and companies like Crixus, for example. Ramesh also provides internships where you can write articles and they can be posted, and you get a portfolio done through them, right? You can participate in certification programs from AMWA, American Medical Writers Association, or European Medical Writers Association. Both of them, they provide very good opportunities. You can volunteer for health blogs. There are a lot of them these days. This diabetes magazine, this cancer magazine, all these magazines need constant inflow of articles, so you can write articles for them as well. Connect with your local newspaper if you can, right? They are very good. They're happy to get any expert to write content for them, right? And try to build portfolio around this, and then definitely it should help you. Could age be a disadvantage when starting from zero in medical writing? This is another question I forgot to take. Okay, this had come in the form, right? Uh, Age is definitely one of the barriers in medical writing if you are trying to get in, right? Most of the companies, they prefer youngsters or mid-age people to get into. But if we are too old, then it becomes a challenge. The companies won't hire full time, but then they most likely would hire us as consultants or freelancers, right? So we have to focus on our area of expertise. We should have clarity, and we should have some portfolio ready to reach out to them. One of the ways to do this is, of course, use LinkedIn, connect with people, and see the different types of posts that are happening around your area of expertise. Try to build a unique background for yourself and showcase your expertise. That's the only thing we can do. Okay. How to fix prices when starting to get clients? I think Ramesh covered this last week. Right. So yeah, you can watch that replay if it is available. See, there is no standard pricing, right? So when you go to a mobile store, what happens? Uh, there are phones starting from 3,000 rupees and there are phones up to 1.5 lakhs, right? Why do you pay so much for a phone? Though the basic functionalities of phones are the same, right? Whether you take a phone worth 3,000 or whether you take a phone worth 1.5 lakhs, the basic functionalities remain the same. Call, SMS, WhatsApp, basic Android, these are the same, right? Why you are paying for that? Because of the features and the quality, right? Similarly, in writing, when you are quoting a price to a client, everything depends on your experience and expertise, right? And how well you can give your work to the client. What is the complexity of work you are handling? For example, oncology related projects definitely get you more money, right? But if it is a general health writing, then it will not get you that kind of money, right? So whatever it is, be transparent about your pricing and the deliverables, right? But definitely don't undervalue your quality of work, right? Because at the end of the day, every work that you do deserves a fair compensation. That is what I feel, right? Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. We answered everything. Perfect. There is one from Anita Florence. Any opinion about clinical research? I'm a dental postgraduate and got a certification in CR. So clinical research, again, if you're reaching out to pharma companies, they may not prefer you, but then if you're reaching to hospitals, they might prefer you because most of the clinical research happens at the hospital and research centers. So please try to reach out to them. And once you get in there, then you can get into pharma companies because The clinical research happens at the hospital level through pharmaceutical companies. And if you have worked at the hospital level for one company, then for the same company, you can reach out as a corporate employee also. You can try as a corporate employee also. That becomes easier for you. Is it possible to guide us on how to go through the technical test round of medical writing interview process? Uh, Dr. Nandini, yeah, definitely, yes, it is possible. But, unfortunately, on a public forum like this, we cannot do that because technical tests has different things and we cannot disclose what actually happens in the industry. But that's definitely when we talk one-on-one, we can always discuss, no problem. Okay, a little off the query, any upcoming session on resume and cover writing? Yes, it is happening on, let me tell you the date also. Okay, just one second. Yes, we are planning one session. It will be on 17th of, not 17th, sorry. It will be on 21st of November. 21st of November will be Friday. We'll be having one session on resume writing, cover letter, and how to email. These three things will be covered in that session. Okay. And then I already have uploaded one session on the YouTube, so you may also watch that. But then if you want to attend live, the version 2 of it, then it will be on 21st of November. Okay. All right. So we answered all the questions. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, I would like to ask you something.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
So, how can the students get connected to you if they need guidance related to? Do you offer any particular guidance? You have a channel, we understand. Is there any other program that you do?
Yes, so of course, the YouTube channel is the primary one. I keep posting all the replays and I connect to experts and I do interview sessions and live sessions. That is a regular one. But apart from that, I also conduct some courses on medical writing. One is beginner's course, another one is the advanced one. So beginner's course, again, will be starting off one batch next month. If anyone is interested, they can ping me on LinkedIn and we can get started from there. I have recently started a course on AI for everyone, everyday use. So that is already going on. Yesterday was the fourth day. Tomorrow will be the fifth day. We are working on different AI tools. There is another one which is coming up, AI for medical writers, but that will be sometime in the month of December. So anyone is interested, they can join that.
So is it enough that they connect with you on LinkedIn? Because after this session, I will share your LinkedIn details
That's enough.
in the
That's
WhatsApp
enough.
group. That
Yeah,
would
that's
be
enough.
wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Seema, for that. Yeah, so beginner's course is, I think, enough for everyone to get started. It's a 10 days course basically, and that guides almost everything about the industry.
Any internship program that's coming up from
That
your
is
side?
also plan. That is also in plan, but I don't know about the dates as of now because right now I'm working with a global client and I'm not supposed to do all of this during that period of time. So
Okay.
once that gets over, then yes, I'll do that.
And there's one more question just slipped my mind. Yeah, I'll ask when I remember. All right. So AI tools you mentioned, yeah, everything that we wanted to cover, we have done. So thank you so much, Manoj, for this wonderful session. I have shared your YouTube link in the chat group so that students get to know about that too. And yeah, everything basic that is needed we have covered over the last 8 sessions. So thank you, Manoj, and thank you all dear participants for being part of this journey. I wish you all the very best and stay connected with us for more upcoming programs. More hands-on session is what we are now planning because we have given you an overview. And a couple of things I would like to add is that please do actively participate on LinkedIn, write on LinkedIn, do networking. No job is coming looking for you. No job will come looking for you. Okay, because there's tough competition. Okay,
Absolutely.
so how are you better than the other? Your LinkedIn is your playground, it's a big playground. Please go ahead, comment on interesting posts that you think where you can show your expertise. It's not show off, you're showing your expertise in a modest way. So do make use of these. I feel many participants are expecting jobs to come to them. Another thing, don't Yeah, Lalit, just 1 second. We'll definitely take your question. Again, about work from home, as Manoj said, as much as possible, especially in your beginning years, initial years, do go to the office because there's a whole lot of thing that you learn, which you can later on utilize. Later on, you can think of work from home when you reach our situation when, you really have to prioritize family.
Absolutely.
Family is always priority, but after a certain age, when your parents are getting old or when your children need you need to prioritize. So as much as possible, we suggest that you will first go for, on-site office jobs as much as possible because a lot of office dynamics and work ethics also that you will learn. Yeah, I'll take a pause. And one more thing about AI tool. See, everyone is now using AI tool to write. So where will you be better than the others? When you know the basics. So please
Yeah,
spend time on learning the basics. And then when you use the AI tool, you will be able to catch error. AI tool is not error free. All right.
absolutely.
So that's another thing I wanted to convey through this. Yes, Lalit, please,
Thank you.
please
Thank you so
ask your
much for that,
question.
ma'am. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Lalit has raised his hand.
You want to unmute and talk,
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Lalit?
have asked to unmute. Yes, please, Lalit.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to second your opinion about using LinkedIn. That's as per my experience, I started using LinkedIn. I kind of deleted my Facebook and started using LinkedIn as my Facebook. So the way, if you want to flourish in your professional career, start using LinkedIn as your Facebook. Start sending out requests to people with from whom you want to learn. Just think of them as friends who are out there to help you out. You can
Yeah,
ask them questions and things. Because without LinkedIn and without those connections, you're not going to receive those calls coming your way.
absolutely.
That okay, I
Absolutely.
have an account. Unless and until you're active on LinkedIn every day, each and every day, make it a habit. It will take you 1 or 2 weeks to get used to that habit of using LinkedIn every day and
Yeah,
posting something, reacting to a post, reading something and posting that you've read this, or posting
absolutely.
some achievement that you've done. It will get garner you more reviews on LinkedIn. More people will come and view your profiles. There will be some recruiters who come and view your profile. That's how you get some
Absolutely.
work.
Absolutely.
So
Uh,
Thank
that's
you.
just one tip that I would like to share.
Very
Thank
good.
you,
Thank
Doctor.
you.
Thank you, Doctor
Thank you so
Lalit.
much.
Yeah. So
Yeah, thank you so
I'll
much.
add. Want to add one more point to what Doctor Lalit said. When we say use LinkedIn or be active on LinkedIn or write on LinkedIn, many of us feel that we have to spend the whole day on LinkedIn. That is not the case, right? So last one of the last classes we discussed about calendar blocking. I would suggest block a time in your calendar for LinkedIn. Let it be just half an hour in the entire 24 hours of your time, right? And during that half an hour's time, all you have to do is three things. Either you post a content, you can write something, and you don't have to write too much of a content. I have given examples in the previous sessions. I always give the example of Dr. Birendra. He is the vice president of Mankind, right? He writes posts every single day, and his posts go live exactly at 8 o'clock, right? And he writes one-liners, two-liners, sometimes 3 words, 4 words in his posts, right? So all you have to do is to be consistent in whatever area, whatever area you have decided to post on. If you want to write on scientific content, write on scientific content. If you want to post on non-scientific content, go for it. If you want to just post quotes, it is okay. But don't uh, post some unnecessary things, right? Or spamming things. The only thing is post these contents which are useful for everybody else, right? And spend this half an hour positively and effectively, and don't keep scrolling because again it leads to doom scrolling, and there are so many other terms given, right? So focus on the 20 minutes or half an hour of your time. You can write content, number one. You can comment on others' content, that is number two. And don't send connection requests without commenting on others' posts. For example, let's say if I want to send a connection request to Dr. Birendra, who is the vice president of the company. Now, when I start commenting on his 3, 4 posts, he starts noticing me, right? And then when I send a connection request to him and send a message, it makes some sense, right? But out of a blue, if I send a message to him, it never will make any sense because there are 1 billion users on LinkedIn, right? Why only he will respond to me, right? So this is a hack I'm telling all these users here, all the attendees here, if you start commenting on somebody's post, get that attention first, then go and send a message. Definitely, it will make a big impact, and your message will be well noticed, and then you'll get whatever you expected. All right.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you. I think someone has raised her hand. Kaveri. Dr. Kaveri,
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
good evening.
Dr.
Uh,
Kaveri. Yeah,
yes, good evening, sir.
good evening.
Sir, my question is to you, Betsy ma'am, and Lalit sir, who made a very valid point of being consistent on LinkedIn. But my question is, in spite of applying through LinkedIn for the last 1.5 years, it is little disheartening to not hear back from the companies. When, especially when I know that, I can do justice to the role, I can bring in a lot more to the table. Sometimes, I mean, recently I was completely demotivated for the fact that I was in fact applying for internship posts. Wo bhi, like, I was not getting calls for whatsoever reasons. But I just want to ask, maybe this is little off the track, but then how to keep myself motivated? Because sometimes the phase is so low that you don't feel like going on LinkedIn, because a lot of motivational posts that I see, but when you reach at a certain established position in a corporate company or in a good pharma company, it's very easy to say, don't feel low or this and do that. But then when you read a lot of that, you don't feel like posting anything or go back to the post or to even comment over there.
Right.
And when you say experienced medical writers, we are looking for that. But unless until you give an opportunity, how do a candidate will get an experience? So that is my biggest thing. At least interview call, you look at the resume, you call the candidate for the interview, and then maybe you can judge the candidate. But then, if initial stages, if you face rejections for the last 1.5 years, it's sometimes little demotivating. Not
Yeah.
little, a lot in my case.
I
Yeah.
totally agree with you, Dr. Kaveri. And another thing I'll tell you is about motivation. Now, there are two types of motivation, right? For example, I may watch Sandeep Maheshwari, one of the videos, and get motivated. And after the video, I just completely come down, right? Lose all the team motivation. It happens, right? After watching a video, you get highly motivated and then you come back to zero. That's one type of motivation. The second type of motivation is self-motivation and without FOMO. FOMO is what? Fear of missing out. When you go on LinkedIn, what happens? You think all of these people are doing so great. They're posting so nice content. They've created such a beautiful post, right? And I don't even have the skills, or maybe I do not have so much of time because of my, so many reasons. I cannot do this, right? I may not be able to do it, right? That's another type of, thing that happens to all of us. So if you want to if you want to stay motivated, and if you want to do something different, then you have to, first thing first is you have to stop doing what you are doing as of now. All these days, whatever you are doing, you'll keep getting the same results if you continue to do that. That's number one, right? So you have to do really different thing. So try to understand the pattern. So what is happening right now? You are going to a post, you are looking at the vacancy, you are sending a mail to that person or company, and then there is no reply, silence, right? That is what is happening. Yes or no? So did you try connecting to a employee within the company, sending a profile through him or her? Number one question. Number two question, did you update your LinkedIn profile to match the job roles that are being highlighted in the organization? That's number two. Number three, are you actually happy about your profile that is currently there on LinkedIn? When you download your profile and ask yourself this question, is this profile a good profile ready to be hired by somebody? If your answer is yes, and still something is not happening, then let's sit together and work on this.
Yes.
But then in 90% of the cases, what I've seen, when you download your own profile, look at that, almost 90% of the time, what happens is we feel that, okay, this is not the profile I was looking for. This is not the, profile that will get me an opportunity. I'll show you how to download a profile first, maybe quickly. Uh, this will give you some ideas, okay? Let me just go to any random profile on LinkedIn. I'll share my screen. Just give me one second. and then I'll answer your question. Maybe taking somebody else's profile may not be right, but let's do this. Okay, so I'll take some very random profile so that there is no problem. Okay, so let's say, for example, this is your profile. I'm just giving an idea. Okay, so how the recruiters are looking at your profile is they don't have to read the entire thing, right? They'll just look at what you have done in the past couple of days, okay? And they'll just go to this and download your resume, okay? And when they download your resume, they just get an idea of who you are as a person. And I would suggest that all of you should do the same. Download your profile first and look at that profile and ask yourself that whether this profile can get you a job. If the answer is yes, in most of the cases, the answer will be no, because this is how your profile is looking to the recruiter. And you need to update this profile to match the keywords for the ATS or applicant tracking system. Because when you are applying through online or applying through job portals, it is the applicant tracking system or the machine which is screening your profile, not the human recruiters, right? Why? Because most of the MNCs, they receive thousands of resumes and it is impossible for them to, screen those profiles. Just few days back, I had, not few days back, I think 20 days back, I had posted for a medical affairs position. And then within 4 or 5 hours, we received over 170 profiles in Google form. Okay. Imagine, we don't rely on ATS, and this was for a friend of mine. And when we are trying to look at open each of the resumes, it took 3 days for him to understand all the profiles, right? And he realized that almost most of the profiles did not have the relevant experience, but still they had applied. Though clear instructions were given that don't apply if you don't have this kind of experience, but most of them applied despite this information, right? And then that is where the problem is, right? When you go to LinkedIn again and look at the job opportunities here, let's quickly go and maybe show you. Let's say, for example, search for medical writing. Is my screen visible? Please let me know. Yeah, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So when you go to LinkedIn and search for any opportunity, right? So I had searched for medical writing and I have searched for Bangalore. Okay. Now, if you see, there are 93 opportunities here, right? Now, there are a couple of filters. Recently, LinkedIn has updated these filters. Earlier, these filters were not there. Now, there were different filters earlier. Now, LinkedIn keeps updating them, right? So, for example, this company, Omnicom, right? Omnicom, they're hiring actively. Astra Health Academy is also hiring actively. These are all on-site positions. And there are a few things we need to understand here. Now, let's say you go to Astra Health Academy opportunity. Read this profile here, what they've asked. What is the basic requirement? Do you fulfill this criteria? Now, if you say I don't feel 100%, nobody can feel 100%, right? Even a very experienced person cannot fulfill 100% of the requirement. So my suggestion is if you feel that there are 40% of the criteria that you are fulfilling, go for it and apply. Now, how do you apply? One of the easiest ways is to go to the recruiter's details and reach out. Maybe they're not posted or this is not there. Let's say, for example, this one. Now, Preetham here is hiring, right? Or Vinay is hiring here. So I can reach out to Vinay and first interact and I ask whether they have this requirement active right now. Because when you go here, you will see over 100 applications already filled. Applied, right? So somebody is singing, let's maybe make some noise for him. All right. All right. So please sing. You are most welcome to sing, but let's do this after the class, or maybe unmute yourself and sing. Okay. All right. So when you are looking at this, first thing first is reach out to these people. Okay. Or if you're not connected, maybe reach out to somebody else who's connected to the company and see if you are having the relevant experience, which is mostly this experience, right? And if you have, and if the person says, okay, can you send your profile to me, not through this, then you get a better chance of, getting some response from the organization. And if you reach out to these people, only 1 in 10 will reply to you. Okay. Why? Because they expect the, uh, LinkedIn to do the job for them, right? They don't want to spend extra time only replying to messages and reaching out to people and all of that. Okay. 1 in 10. So what is the crux here? You have to reach to more people. So if you reach to 20 people, maybe 2 people will respond. Or maybe connect to another person who's in that company and see if that person can help you to push your profile internally, right? Another important thing that we should all remember as job seekers, if you are applying online, you cannot apply for referral. This I've spoken multiple times, right? Why? Because if you are applying for referral, then there is a commitment from the HR team for the employees, right? Referral bonus and all of that. They just don't want to do that, right? So if you're applying for referral, don't apply online. If you're applying online, don't seek for referral, right? These things we need to remember, okay? And read these job descriptions. And when you're reading, see if you can incorporate these points, the keywords in your resume. Because when you're sending the resume, the ATS is going through your resume. And most likely, if these keywords are not there in the profile, your resume may not be shortlisted, right? So this is another thing that we should do. And maybe tailoring of resume is something that most of us don't do. Your resume for Omnicom will not be the same for Astra Health. It cannot be the same. Except for your personal details, the rest of the details will change. Okay, it has to be updated based on those keywords and other things requirement from the company, right? So once you do this, then it'll happen. Another thing is, don't get demotivated. There are thousands and thousands of people who are looking for opportunities, right? And in those thousands, only 1 or 2 of them are getting opportunity. I'll give an example of my very close friend, in fact, my batchmate, my roommate, both of us studied together. When he was applying for his PhD, and this happened in the year 2007. Okay, I still give the example because this is so relevant for all of these, requirements. He had to send almost 500 applications, and he had the pile of these applications for PhD. Okay, and he waited for almost 9 months before he got yes from one of the universities, right? And I keep giving the example of Avinash. He got 5 rejections before the 6th company said yes to him, right? I'm telling this all in his absence, but I take that for because I just like him, right? So rejections are part of life. It's fine, no problem. But then we should keep positively trying and actively trying, and keep connecting to people, because most of the time referrals happen, and referrals happen to genuine people who really can make a difference in the organizations, which automations and onlines cannot understand, right? It can happen only when you connect to people. So with that, maybe we'll connect and discuss later on and see how we can support. Okay. All right.
So much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll take one last question. It is from Nunui. Okay. It says, she or he says, is the resume and cover letter writing session specific on medical writing? It will not be specific to medical writing, but then will the rules and regulations remain the same for every profile, right? So you may watch the replay of one of the session that we did on resume writing. That will help you. All right. So with that note, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Betsy. And we have taken extra time today, but I hope it was useful, and all of you got some value from this. Please stay connected. Stay connected to Dr. Betsy, Ramesh, and all of us. We are all available. We'll try our best to whatever best we can do for each other, and definitely let's make a difference in the community, in the profession together. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Good night. And thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.